He showed up at my door at 7 a.m., pounding like the world owed him something. The same hands that once promised me forever now felt like a threat. Everyone told me to keep things civil for the sake of our daughter. But civility has a way of dying when you see someone smile while breaking you. So there I was, Thursday night, 6:47 p.m., standing in the hallway with this perfectly smooth chocolate ganache cake in my hands, the one I'd spent 3 hours making after work. And from the living room? Chaos. I could hear Maxwell and his buddies absolutely losing their minds laughing, the kind of deep, drunken howling that rattles the walls. I'd left work early. Picked up our little girl, Nora, from daycare. Dropped her off at my parents' house. Swung by Target for decorations and party supplies. I was supposed to be the one sneaking in to set up a surprise 30th birthday for my husband. But guess who beat me home? When I stepped inside, I saw them, 5 grown men draped over my sectional like frat boys at 2 a.m., beer cans everywhere, watching something on our TV with tears of laughter streaming down their faces. And then I heard Anthony shout, "Wait, wait, here it comes." And Maxwell, my husband, goes, "Oh man, this part's gold." I glance at the TV, and my stomach twists. It's our wedding video. 3 years ago. I freeze in the doorway with the cake still in my hands. On screen, I'm in my wedding dress, talking to my aunt by the dessert table. The camera pans across the reception, and there's Maxwell. At the bar. With Lisa. Lisa. My best friend since high school. My maid of honor. And in that moment, clear as day, I watch my groom lean in and kiss her. Not some awkward friendly peck. His hand is on her waist. It's intimate. Real. I never saw it happen on the day itself, of course I didn't. I was busy floating around, thanking 200 guests and trying not to cry off my makeup. On the couch, Maxwell grins at his friends and goes, "Remember when I kissed Lisa during the reception? She couldn't resist me that night." Simon practically chokes on his beer laughing. "Your wife didn't even suspect. She was too busy playing hostess." And Maxwell, my husband, just shrugs and says, "She's so naive." I swear I felt my pulse in my fingertips. My phone was in my back pocket, and I pulled it out very carefully. No shaking. No sound. I hit record. Because I knew, whatever this was, it was bad. Then Maxwell took a swig of his beer and said it like it was no big deal, "Been seeing Lisa for 2 years now." High fives. Laughter. Anthony goes, "2 years, man. That's impressive." Maxwell answers, "I mean, why would I leave? Her dad pays the mortgage, and she does everything around the house anyway. It's like having a maid who sleeps in my bed." They cheered for him. Like this was something worth celebrating. I recorded for 2 full minutes before my hand started shaking too much to hold steady. They were literally ranking Lisa versus me. Talking about how Lisa was more fun, how I was the one nagging about chores, how I was basically their live-in house manager. Maxwell said those words himself. Live-in house manager. I slipped out of the hallway like a ghost. Put the cake down on the counter. Walked to my car. Sat there in the driveway with my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Because if I walked back in there right then, I can't even say what might have happened. For 2 years, my dad has been paying our mortgage ever since Maxwell's little startup crashed and burned. 2 years of my father believing his son-in-law was a good man who just needed time to get back on his feet. 2 years of me working full-time, raising our daughter, managing everything in that house, while I was apparently the joke of the century. 2 years. I did the math right there in the car. That means he started cheating while I was pregnant. When I was so sick I couldn't keep water down. When he said he was at the gym or grabbing drinks with Francis. When he came home smelling faintly of perfume and said, "Oh, Francis's girlfriend hugs too much." I called my sister Alicia. No greeting. Just, "Alicia, I just found out Maxwell's been sleeping with Lisa for 2 years. She goes, "What? How? What?" I told her everything. She told me to send her the video immediately. I did. Then I sent it to myself from multiple numbers, because I wasn't letting that evidence vanish. When I finally walked back in, they were still glued to the TV. Now it was the first dance scene. Simon snorted, "Dude, you were dancing with your wife while thinking about Lisa." And Maxwell laughed. Makes it hotter, honestly. I walked straight past them. Into our bedroom. Shut the door. Opened his side of the closet. And started yanking clothes off hangers like I was pulling weeds from a garden. Everything, shirts, jeans, his beloved vintage tees that make him look like a 12-year-old, into big black trash bags. 4 bags in and I heard footsteps. He opened the door. Beer in hand. Pizza stain on his shirt. Blinked at me and said, "Babe, when did you get home?" I just stared at him. This man. This stranger. "I came home," I said slowly, "to surprise you. I had your favorite cake in the car. Decorations. A surprise birthday. And instead, I got a front row seat to you bragging about screwing Lisa for 2 years while my dad pays your bills." His face drained of color like someone hit a dimmer switch. "Babe, wait, I can explain. Don't call me babe." I lifted my phone. I have it all on video. Immediately, he shifted gears. Said it was just locker room talk. Just jokes to impress the guys. "So you weren't kissing Lisa at the wedding?" I asked. He stammered. "That was nothing. Just a drunk mistake." I hit play on my phone. His voice. Clear. Confident. Been secretly meeting her for 2 years now. He reached for the phone. I yanked it back so hard it almost flew across the room. "Touch me or this phone," I told him, "and I'll call the cops right now." He stepped back. Then started the script. How marriages are hard. How he made mistakes. How he loves me. How we should work it out, for Nora. I asked him how many times it happened. He dodged. I asked where. He refused. But when I asked if he'd ever done it in our house, he actually said, no, never here. I'd never disrespect you like that. Like that made it better. Meanwhile, his buddies in the living room had gone suspiciously silent. They were listening. Maxwell tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. Again. Finally, he sighed, can we at least talk about this privately? I told him, your friends can leave. But you are not staying here tonight. And then, he laughed. Laughed. This is my house too, he said. I smiled. Cold. Sharp. No, sweetheart. My dad's name is on the lease. Which means when I call him, and I will, you'll be the one explaining why you've been cashing his checks while cheating on his daughter. The look on his face, that was the first time all night he actually shut up. And that? That was just the beginning, that shut him up fast. The second those words left my mouth, the air between us went razor sharp. I walked right past him, straight into the living room, where Anthony, Simon, and the other guys were suddenly very, very invested in pretending their phones were fascinating. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Get out, I said. They scattered like cockroaches when the light comes on, grabbing their jackets, tripping over beer cans, mumbling excuses. Anthony tried to say something to Maxwell on his way out. I snapped, save it. He shut up real quick too. The door closed behind the last one, and suddenly it was just me and Maxwell. He started again with that slow, pleading voice, like he was some reasonable man caught in a silly misunderstanding. We need to talk about this rationally, he said. I cut him off. No. You have two options. 1, you pack a bag and leave tonight. We'll handle the rest through lawyers. Or 2, I call my dad and Lisa's fiancé, Bo. And then I post that little video on Facebook and tag every single person we know. That name, Bo, hit him like a freight train. His eyes went wide. You can't do that, he whispered. I pulled up Facebook. Watch me. That's when he cracked. The swagger disappeared. Suddenly he was on his knees, grabbing my hands, stammering, begging. I'll do anything. I'll cut her off. I'll go to counseling. I'll prove it. I'll change. I ripped my hands away like his touch burned. You have 1 hour. Pack what you need. You're not staying here. Not tonight. Not ever again. And definitely not around Nora. He tried to bargain. I don't have anywhere to go. I'll just sleep on the couch. I won't bother you. 1 hour, I repeated, turning back to the bedroom. I didn't even slam the door. I just kept packing. Calm. Cold. He hovered in the doorway, pleading like a bad actor reading his lines. Please, just let me explain everything. I spun around so fast he flinched. There is nothing you can say that makes this okay. Nothing. You lied to me for 2 years. Slept beside me every night. Smiled in my face. Played family with our daughter. Ate meals I cooked. Lived in a house my dad pays for. And while doing all that, you were sleeping with my best friend. He tried to paint himself as the victim. Said Lisa seduced him. That she came onto him and he was weak. I actually laughed. Out loud. You're a grown man, not a tree in the wind. You made choices, Maxwell. And now you get to live with them. And then my phone rang. His mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. I answered. Juliana. She jumped right in, all faux concern. Maxwell just called me. He's very upset. He said you're kicking him out over some misunderstanding. You won't listen to reason. I cut her off. There's no misunderstanding, Juliana. Your son has been cheating on me for 2 years with my best friend. And I have video evidence of him bragging about it. Silence. And then, soft and dismissive, she said, all men have their moments, dear. Don't throw away your marriage over boy talk. Boy talk. I hung up without another word. She texted 3 times afterward. I blocked her. When I looked up, Maxwell was still there. See, he said. Even my mom thinks you're overreacting. That's when I lost it. Of course she does. She raised a man who thinks cheating is casual conversation. Who thinks using my family's money and lying to my face is just part of marriage. She is the last person who gets to have an opinion on my life. I handed him the garbage bags I'd packed. The rest's on you. He dragged them out to his car. I sat on the bed, breathing in and out while the adrenaline made my hands shake. When he came back for more, I asked the question that had been clawing at me. Was any of this real? I said quietly. Did you ever actually love me? Or was I just convenient? He swore he loved me. Said it just happened with Lisa. That it got out of control. I asked when he saw her last. He avoided the question. I pressed again. And finally, he cracked. Tuesday. Lunch. 2 days ago. He saw her 2 days ago while I was at work. Then he came home, ate the dinner I made, tucked Nora into bed, kissed me goodnight like everything was fine. I want a divorce, I said. That's when the tears started. Real tears. He choked on my name, begging, please don't do this. Think about Nora. We can fix this. I stared at him, feeling something hard and steady settle in my chest. Nora deserves a mom who respects herself. And a dad who knows actions have consequences. He tried to take the iPad on his way out. I blocked him at the door. That's Nora's. Take it up with your lawyer. Then, because he can't help himself, he turned around in the doorway, shoulders squared like he had the upper hand again. You're making a huge mistake, he said. You'll regret this. We're good together. I laughed. Quiet. Sharp. We were never good together. I was just too busy managing your entire life to notice what you really are. He lunged like he was going to hug me. I stepped back. He stopped. For the first time all night, he realized I was done. And then he left. I locked the door behind him. Every lock, the deadbolt, the chain. Checked every window. Twice. Then I sat down on the cold kitchen floor, staring at the stupid chocolate cake I made for his birthday. 3 hours of baking and decorating for a man who had already set fire to our marriage years ago. I grabbed a fork and dug in right from the platter. No plate. No candles. Just me, a fork, and the quiet. My phone started lighting up like a Christmas tree. Maxwell. His mom. His brother. My sister. My dad. Everyone. I ignored most of it. I still haven't called Bo yet. I know I need to. I know he deserves to know. But tonight, I don't have it in me. I texted Alicia to pick Nora up from our parents in the morning and take her to preschool. I don't want Nora seeing me like this. She deserves at least one normal morning. And as I sat there at almost midnight, eating chocolate cake on my kitchen floor, it hit me, tonight was supposed to be his birthday party. Instead, it was the night I started taking my life back. Oh, and for anyone thinking, why didn't you just throw the cake at him? Believe me, I thought about it. But that cake was too pretty to waste on his face. Update 1 is coming. Because at 7 a.m., Maxwell showed up. And trust me, it got worse. I barely slept Thursday night. Every 20 minutes, my phone lit up again. Another wall of texts from Maxwell. We need to talk. Please don't do this. I love you. This is fixable. Then around 2 a.m., it shifted into, I deserve a chance to explain myself properly. The nerve. I just lay there staring at the ceiling in a house my dad pays for, thinking about how this man, this liar, still believed he deserved something from me. Around 6 a.m., I finally drifted off for maybe an hour. Then, bang bang bang. Aggressive pounding on my front door jolted me awake. I grabbed my phone, patted down the hallway, and there he was. Maxwell. Standing outside in the same rumpled clothes from the night before, pounding on my door like a madman. Open up. We need to talk, he shouted. My neighbor Lillian was outside getting her newspaper, just frozen, watching. Another neighbor with his dog had stopped too. This was a scene now. Maxwell spotted me through the window and doubled down. You can't just shut me out. We're married. I have rights. I cracked the door open just enough to speak, keeping the chain lock firmly in place. My voice was steady, colder than I felt inside. You need to leave right now, I said. Or I'm calling the police. He shoved his foot into the gap. Actually shoved his foot. I slammed the door on it so hard he yelped like a kicked dog. Adults, I snapped, don't cheat on their wives for 2 years and then show up screaming at 7 a.m. for the neighborhood to hear. Lillian had her phone out by then. Ready. Maxwell saw her watching. That finally got through to him. He stumbled back to his car but still had the audacity to roll down the window and yell, "You're being unreasonable. You're destroying our family." I went back inside shaking, not from fear, but pure, boiling rage. I called my dad. Calm, collected, my dad. The man who never raises his voice. But when I told him what happened, he snapped. He said he was coming over immediately. We're changing the locks today, he said. And I'm calling the mortgage company. His name's coming off everything. An hour later, my parents and Alicia showed up. My mom walked in with breakfast sandwiches from our favorite deli. The moment I saw her, I broke. I'd been holding it all in like duct tape over a dam, and seeing her just split it open. We sat in my kitchen. I showed them the video. My mom watched with her hand over her mouth, whispering, "Oh my God," while my dad sat stone still, jaw clenched, his hands actually shaking. I trusted him, he kept saying. I trusted him. I paid for his life while he mocked my daughter. Alicia, of course, went full feral. Where is he staying? I'm slashing tires. My mom had to hold her back like this was a WWE match about to start in my kitchen. And then, ring. Lisa. The room went silent. Alicia hissed, "Don't answer." But I did. "Hey," she said softly, "I know this is awkward but, can we meet somewhere to talk?" "Talk about what?" I said. My voice could have cut glass. She went quiet. Then, Maxwell called me last night crying. "I just want to explain my side." I laughed. Out loud. "There is no side of yours that makes sleeping with your best friend's husband okay." She launched into her little speech. How it just happened. How they tried to stop. How there were real feelings involved. Real feelings. Real feelings make it worse, I shot back. You sat at my kitchen table every weekend, held my daughter in your arms, and asked me about my marriage while actively destroying it. It's not that simple, she whispered. Things with Bo haven't been great. Maxwell understands me in a way Bo doesn't. That was it. My mom grabbed the phone like a general taking command. "Lisa," she said, "you're a disgrace. Don't ever contact my daughter again." Then she hung up. The three of us just stared at each other for a moment. Then Alicia said, "So, are we telling Bo?" "Oh, absolutely," I said. "He deserves to know." Problem was, I didn't have his number. Alicia, bless her chaotic heart, found his Instagram. Public profile. She sent him a DM, "This is about Lisa and Maxwell. Please call me. It's urgent." He called within 10 minutes. Alicia answered, handed the phone to me, and I had to tell this man, this stranger, "Your fiancé has been sleeping with my husband for 2 years." There was silence. Heavy. Then he whispered, "Are you sure?" I told him I had video. Sent it. 5 minutes later, he called back, sobbing. "We're supposed to get married in 4 months, he choked out. "I just put a down payment on our venue." I didn't have answers for most of his questions. I just told him the truth. "I'm so sorry. I only found out yesterday." He said, "This isn't your fault. Thank you for telling me." And hung up. My mom, ever the general, made us sit down and eat those sandwiches. You need food in your system, she said. Today's going to be long. And she was right. By 11 a.m., the locksmith arrived. As he was drilling into my front door, guess who decided to show up unannounced? Juliana, Maxwell's mom. My dad answered the door and immediately told her she needed to leave. She shoved right past him anyway like she owned the place. She clutched her purse like she was stepping onto a soap opera set. Sweetheart, she cooed, I know you're hurt, but you're not thinking clearly. Maxwell made a mistake. But he's a good man, and a good father. You need to forgive him for Nora's sake. I laughed. A short, bitter laugh. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. 2 years of lying, cheating, and using my family's money is a choice. Marriage is about forgiveness, she said sharply. Every couple has rough patches. I asked her point blank, would you stay with your husband if he cheated on you for 2 years? She bristled. That's different. My mom emerged then like a queen entering battle. Juliana, you need to leave. The two of them went at it right there in my entryway. Juliana accused my mom of raising me to give up too easily. My mom fired back, no. I raised my daughter to have self-respect. The poor locksmith looked like he wanted to melt into the drywall. My dad finally stepped in, guided Juliana out, and locked the brand new lock behind her. She turned as she left and said, you'll regret this when Nora grows up without her father. I lost it. He can be a father without living here. Maybe if you'd raised him better, we wouldn't be in this mess. By the afternoon, I had divorce lawyer consultations lined up. My dad's paying, because I can't afford a lawyer right now and Maxwell sure as hell isn't going to help fund his own exit. Then came the hardest part. Picking up Nora. She was cheerful, playing with her toys, completely unaware that our lives had just detonated. She asked where Daddy was. He's staying somewhere else for a little while, I said softly. Mommy and Daddy need some space. But we both love you very much. She nodded and went back to playing. Kids can be heartbreakingly resilient. That night, I made her favorite pasta. We watched Encanto again. She fell asleep on the couch, her tiny hand clutching mine. And I sat there staring at her face, thinking, this is why I'm doing this. So she grows up knowing what love shouldn't look like. Meanwhile, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Maxwell, his mom, Anthony, all trying to guilt me. I only answered Anthony. Told him if he had a problem, he could go struggle right alongside Maxwell, since he sat there laughing that night too. Saturday morning, 17 texts from Maxwell. Long paragraphs about love, regret, how Lisa meant nothing. I finally responded once. Told him any communication from here on out goes through my lawyer and concerns Nora only. He called. I didn't answer. He called 6 more times. Blocked. He started calling from unknown numbers. I blocked 4 in one day. Then Alicia texted me a screenshot. Lisa had posted one of those vague, manipulative Facebook statuses, going through a difficult time. People make mistakes. Real friends stand by you. Bo commented under it, Lisa, you don't get to play victim when you're the one who destroyed our relationship and multiple families. The post exploded. People asking questions. Confirming. Maxwell deleted his Facebook by the end of the night. Lisa made hers private. My phone kept ringing. Relatives. Friends. Everyone wanting to know what happened. Everyone choosing my side. It was kind, but draining. Then Sunday morning, ding dong. 9 a.m. Maxwell. Flowers in hand. Like that was supposed to fix 2 years of betrayal. He rang the bell over and over. Yelled through the door, I know you're in there. We need to talk. Nora was still asleep. Thank God. I typed out one message on my laptop. Leave now or I'm calling the cops for harassment. Because I'm done. Done being polite. Done being the naive wife he mocked to his friends. Done carrying the weight of someone else's choices. And this? This was only the beginning. He texted back almost immediately. Harassment? Really, babe? I'm your husband trying to save our marriage. I actually laughed, one of those bitter, exhausted laughs that doesn't feel funny at all. He really thought showing up at my door uninvited, pounding like a maniac, yelling through the neighborhood, was him saving our marriage. My dad didn't even wait for me to respond. He'd already thrown on his jacket, got in his truck, and drove straight over. I watched from the living room window as he marched across the driveway like a storm front. Maxwell was still standing there, pacing near his car, when my dad got right up in his face. If you show up at this house one more time without permission, my dad said, calm but with that quiet, dangerous tone that means business, I'll file for a restraining order myself. Maxwell tried to argue. Of course he did, but my dad cut him off cold. I'm not discussing this. And if you weren't the father of my granddaughter, you'd be walking away with more than a warning right now. Be grateful you're not picking your teeth up off my driveway. And that was that. Maxwell mumbled something under his breath, left the bouquet of roses on my doorstep, and drove away. I picked up the flowers with one hand, dropped them straight into the outdoor garbage can, and closed the lid. Not even worth bringing inside. Alicia came over later that afternoon. We chopped vegetables and prepped lunches while Nora ran around in the backyard, chasing bubbles like the world hadn't shifted under our feet. Alicia kept looking at me between cutting boards, asking softly, are you okay? The truth? I didn't know how to answer. I'm furious. I'm gutted. I'm exhausted. I'm functioning. Because I have to. I've got a 4-year-old to take care of. A job to keep. A life to rebuild from the ashes this man left behind. Alicia told me to take some time off work, to breathe. But I can't. I need my paycheck. I need structure. I need to keep Nora's world as stable as possible while mine is falling apart. Sunday night, when the house finally got quiet, I sat at the kitchen table with a pen and paper and started writing everything down. Divorce lawyer appointment Monday. Custody arrangement. Update HR and emergency contacts at work. Cancel joint credit card. Separate bank accounts. Notify Nora's preschool that Maxwell isn't allowed to pick her up. By the time I was done, the list filled an entire page. Staring at it felt like standing at the bottom of a mountain I never wanted to climb. My throat burned, but the tears didn't come. I think I'm just empty now. And then, at 10:03 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Bo. Can we talk? For a second, I just stared at it. I wasn't sure I had anything left to give. But I typed back, okay. He asked if he could call. I said yes. And that call was the start of a whole new mess I wasn't ready for. Update 2 coming. Because what Bo told me changed everything I thought I knew. That Sunday night phone call with Bo broke me in a way I didn't think I could still break. It started quietly, just his voice on the other end, soft and tired. Sorry it's so late, he said. I can't stop thinking about it. I needed to talk to someone who gets it. I told him I understood. Because I did. No one else on this planet knew exactly how it felt to be blindsided by those two people. He told me what happened Friday night after I sent him the video. He'd confronted Lisa. At first, she tried to lie, said Maxwell was exaggerating to look cool in front of his friends. But Bo pushed. And finally, she broke down and admitted they'd been seeing each other, but then had the audacity to claim it wasn't serious and only happened a few times. Bo didn't buy it. He went through her phone when she left it charging on the counter. Her passcode was his birthday. And that's when everything came out. Months, years, of Instagram messages between her and Maxwell. Almost 2 years worth, like I'd feared. And this wasn't just flirty cheating. They were talking about being together. For real. Leaving us. Building a life. Bo read me some of the messages over the phone. I had to put him on speaker because my hands were shaking too hard. Maxwell telling Lisa, I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. Lisa replying, I feel more like myself with you than I ever have with Bo. They talked about custody of Nora. What their life would look like. They planned a future, while I was making his breakfast, folding his laundry, raising our daughter, holding a family together that he clearly didn't want anymore. Then Bo said something that made the blood drain from my face. Lisa had messaged Maxwell when I was pregnant. Told him she was jealous watching him play happy family with me. And Maxwell replied that he wished it was Lisa he was having a baby with. I actually felt the world tilt a little when he said that. Then Bo asked, did you know about the fake Instagram account? What fake account? I asked. Maxwell had made an entirely separate Instagram under a fake name, James Peterson or something equally bland, using random photos of some guy as a cover. That's how they messaged most of the time, so it wouldn't look suspicious. Bo only found it because Lisa had saved it in her close friends list. I wanted to scream. They even had a routine. Same hotel, 30 minutes outside of town. Room 347. Over and over again like it was some twisted tradition. This wasn't a fling. This was a second relationship. Bo found messages from March 2023, right after Nora turned 2. Right after Maxwell's business tanked and I was working extra hours to keep us afloat. That's when it started. Bo told me he ended things with Lisa the night he found everything. Kicked her out. She's been staying with her parents ever since, blowing up his phone. He's done. Then he asked me something that made my stomach clench. Do you think Maxwell's the type who'll try to manipulate his way back in? I said, absolutely yes. Bo sighed. Lisa said Maxwell told her he's not giving up. He said he can convince you to take him back, because you always forgive him eventually. My heart actually stopped for a second. Always forgive him. Like this was a pattern. Like he's done things before and just counted on me folding. Bo told me that in their messages, Maxwell described me as manageable. Manageable. Like I was a piece of furniture he could control. We talked for 2 hours. By the end, we were both exhausted, hollow, but grateful not to be alone. When I hung up, I lay there in the dark, replaying every late night at the gym, every drink with the guys, every lie I'd swallowed because I trusted him. How many times did he come home, kiss me goodnight, and tuck our daughter in after seeing her best friend in room 347? The next morning, Monday, I got Nora ready for preschool on autopilot. Coffee didn't even touch the fatigue in my bones. I dropped her off and drove straight to my 9 a.m. appointment with Franca, the divorce lawyer. Downtown office. Professional. Calm. I was anything but. The intake form alone nearly made me cry, boxes for assets, debts, reason for divorce. Franca called me in at 9:15. I told her everything. Showed her the wedding video, told her about the Instagram DMs, the mortgage situation. She took notes like a machine. She said it was a strong case, clear infidelity, financial dependency on my dad, text evidence. We'll file this week, she said. Custody, support, everything. She asked what I wanted for Nora. I said, primary physical custody. Supervised visitation until I can trust he won't damage her the way he did me. She nodded. Reasonable. I walked out feeling hollow, but also strangely solid. It's happening. This marriage is over. My life is splitting in two. Later that day, I stopped at the grocery store with Nora. Just as I pushed the cart into the produce section, Lisa, standing by the apples. Like it was just another Monday. We locked eyes. I turned around. She followed. Please, she said, trailing me down the aisle. I just want 5 minutes. I kept walking. She caught up by the cereal aisle, stepped in front of my cart, tears in her eyes. I know you hate me, but it wasn't supposed to happen like this. And then, my daughter's tiny voice. Hi, Aunt Lisa. Why is mommy mad? My heart cracked clean in half. I told Nora softly, close your eyes, baby. Play with Bunny for a minute. Then I looked Lisa dead in the eyes. Leave me alone. She started crying. I'm sorry, okay? Maxwell and I, we fell in love. We didn't plan it. It's been torture watching you not know. Torture, I said. You could have stopped. You could have told the truth. You chose this. She kept sobbing. I hate myself. I lost everything. No, I told her. You threw it away. Then, like she hadn't already set the bar for audacity, she said, Maxwell really does love you. He's devastated. Maybe you should give him another chance. Everyone makes mistakes. I actually laughed. You're standing here defending the man who destroyed both our lives. That's not love. That's delusion. She said I wouldn't understand their connection. Oh, I understand, I said. Two selfish people put their wants over everyone else's. That's not a connection. That's rot. Another shopper turned the corner, saw us, and immediately backed out of the aisle like we were radioactive. Lisa whispered she hopes I can forgive her someday. I said, we stopped being best friends the second you kissed my husband at my wedding. I pushed past her. She stayed there crying while I finished my shopping. At home, Nora asked why Aunt Lisa was sad. I said gently, sometimes grown-ups hurt each other. And Aunt Lisa did something that hurt Mommy. So we're not going to see her anymore. Tuesday and Wednesday blurred together in a fog of paperwork, work calls, texts from Maxwell. Another new number. He wanted to discuss custody and meet somewhere neutral. I told him to have his lawyer call mine. He said he couldn't afford one. I said, that sounds like a you problem. He called. I answered. Big mistake. He started yelling about how I'm being vindictive, using Nora as a weapon. I told him he should have thought about his rights before he spent 2 years in room 347. When I confronted him about the DMs, about the plans, he panicked. Said it wasn't serious, just fantasizing. I told him he's not nearly smart enough to gaslight me anymore. He tried to say it was my fault. That I wasn't supportive enough when his business failed. I told him that excuse was pathetic, and he's going to have to do better than that in court. Wednesday morning, my dad called to say Maxwell's name had been officially removed from everything mortgage-related. For the first time in days, I smiled. But that night, Nora asked when Daddy's coming home. And then, God help me, if Daddy left because I was mean to him. I wanted to scream. He already planted something in her head. I held her and said, no, baby. Mommy wasn't mean. Daddy made choices that hurt Mommy. But none of this is your fault. She cried. I held her. We watched Bluey until she fell asleep. Thursday morning, Franca called. The divorce papers were ready to file. She'd send a process server to find Maxwell. Thursday afternoon, Nora's preschool called. Maxwell had shown up trying to check her out early. They refused. He caused a scene. Security nearly called the cops. I FaceTimed him from Nora's iPad, because it's the only line not blocked. You do not show up at my daughter's school, I snapped. She's my daughter too, he yelled. Then act like a father, not a stalker, I shot back. He called me unreasonable, vindictive. I hung up. And then Friday? Friday, he showed up at my office. Update 3 coming. Because that scene? That one blew everything else out of the water. Friday afternoon, I was at my desk buried in billing for a client case when Annabelle practically power-walked over, her face pale. There's a man in the lobby demanding to see you, she whispered, and he's got an older woman with him. They won't leave. I didn't need her to say names. I just knew. Maxwell. And Juliana. I took a slow breath. Call building security, I said. I'll handle it. She stared at me. Are you sure? Absolutely not, I answered. But I'm doing it anyway. I walked out to the lobby, and there they were. Maxwell in his khakis and button-down like he was about to charm an HR manager, and Juliana in a full pantsuit, clutching her bag like a prosecutor about to make a closing argument. The receptionist looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. Maxwell's face lit up when he saw me. Thank God. We need to talk. Right now. I didn't even bother pretending to be polite. You need to leave. Now. This is my workplace. Juliana stepped forward like she owned the building. Now, dear, she said, voice sugary and sharp, we're not leaving until you hear us out. This has gone on long enough, and you're being unreasonable. I turned to the receptionist. Call security. Maxwell held up his hands. That's not necessary. We just want 5 minutes. You don't get 5 minutes, I shot back. You don't get anything. You're harassing me at my job. That's when Juliana pulled out her phone. Then listen to this. She hit play. And I heard Maxwell, my cheating husband, sobbing into a voice memo. Saying he can't live without me and Nora, saying he's falling apart, saying his mom's worried he might hurt himself. I just stared at her. Did you really just play me a recording of your grown son crying to manipulate me? It's not manipulation, she sniffed. It's to show you how much pain he's in because of your actions. My actions. I actually laughed out loud. Maxwell is in pain because of Maxwell. He can talk to a therapist, not show up at my job with his mommy like a middle schooler who lost his lunch money. Maxwell reached for my hand. I yanked it back. Please, he begged. Just come outside and talk to me. 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. What part of I have nothing to say to you do you not understand? I said. He said, we have a daughter together. We need to figure this out like adults. We are, I told him. Through lawyers and the court. That's what adults do when they can't trust each other anymore. He tried again. You're really going to throw away 3 years of marriage without even trying? And that's when my voice went hard. You threw it away when you stuck your tongue down my best friend's throat at our wedding reception and then kept sleeping with her for 2 years. Said it loud enough that the receptionist's eyes went wide and Annabelle, standing down the hall, had her phone out, ready just in case. Juliana huffed, "There's no need for that kind of language." "And there's no need for you to be here," I said, "because this isn't your marriage." As his mother, she snapped, "I have every right to defend my son when he's being treated unfairly." That's when security arrived, 2 uniformed officers asking if there was a problem. "Yes," I said. "They're harassing me. They need to leave." Maxwell tried to argue with them, saying, "I'm her husband. I have a right to talk to her." Security was firm. "Not on private property when she's telling you to leave." Juliana exploded then. "This is ridiculous. I've never seen someone act so cold toward their own husband." Maxwell was trying to talk over her, rambling to security about rough patches and working it out. I looked them dead in the eye and said, "We are not working it out. I have a restraining order pending, and they are violating my space." That part wasn't technically true yet, but they didn't need to know that. Security didn't hesitate after that. "You both need to leave now or we'll call the police." Maxwell turned to me with those pathetic, watery eyes. "I love you. Please don't do this." "If you loved me," I said, "you wouldn't have cheated for 2 years. You wouldn't have humiliated me in front of your friends. You wouldn't have used my family's money to build a secret future with someone else." Juliana snapped, "He made a mistake." "A mistake," I said, "is forgetting to buy milk. A mistake is not a 2-year affair with fake Instagram accounts and hotel room 347. Security escorted them out while Maxwell kept shouting over his shoulder. Juliana was threatening to call someone, though God knows who. When it was over, my boss came out of his office. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Take the rest of the day off if you need to." I told him I was fine. Shaking with rage, but fine. He said if they ever show up again, don't wait for security, just call the police. I sat back at my desk afterward and felt that familiar boiling anger in my chest. The absolute audacity of Maxwell showing up at my workplace with his mom like I'm the one who broke our marriage. That night, as I drove to pick up Nora from my parents' house, my phone lit up with 23 new messages. Maxwell, Juliana, Anthony, Maxwell's aunt. All of them saying I embarrassed him and I'm being cruel. I replied to exactly one, Anthony. If anyone from your family contacts me again, I'm filing harassment charges. Then I blocked them all. Saturday morning, Franca called. Maxwell had officially been served. 30 days to respond. She said the workplace incident actually strengthened my case, it showed a clear pattern of harassment and disregard for boundaries. She also said we had a strong case for primary physical custody with supervised visitation and a parenting coordinator for exchanges so I wouldn't have to deal with Maxwell directly. For the first time in weeks, I exhaled. That afternoon, my parents and Alicia came over. We sat in the backyard while Nora played on the swings. My dad explained that legally, Maxwell has no claim to the house. My mom asked how I really felt, and I told her the truth. Angry, hurt, but also relieved. I didn't realize how heavy it was, constantly managing him and his moods. The house feels lighter without him. Alicia said she was proud of me. A lot of women would have folded by now, she said. But I'm done being manageable. Sunday, Nora asked when she'll see Daddy. I told her soon, we're working on a schedule. She asked if Daddy did something bad. I told her softly, Daddy made some choices that hurt Mommy. But Daddy loves you very much, and none of this is your fault. She nodded and went back to her dolls. Monday morning, Franca called again. Maxwell finally hired a bargain bin lawyer who immediately suggested mediation. I told her I want this in court. No backroom deals. No trust. Not anymore. Tuesday night, Bo called. Lisa's been trying to contact him again. He's angry, exhausted, out $5,000 for a wedding that's never happening. We talked for an hour, venting, commiserating, both of us realizing Maxwell and Lisa probably still think they'll end up together when the dust settles. I told Bo, if Maxwell thinks I'm going to play happy co-parents with him and his mistress, he's out of his damn mind. Wednesday morning, I met with Nora's preschool teacher. She's been acting out lately, angry, withdrawn, not sharing. The teacher gently suggested play therapy. It broke my heart a little. But also, it's the reality. My daughter deserves the space to heal, too. This isn't just a breakup. It's the unraveling of years of lies, manipulation, and betrayal. But brick by brick, I'm building something new. Something stable. Something that doesn't include Maxwell ever again. Thursday, I got a call from Franca that made me laugh out loud at my desk. Maxwell's lawyer had filed a motion for temporary custody pending the divorce. Maxwell, this man who cheated on me for 2 years, humiliated me, harassed me, and used my family's money, was asking the court for 50-50 physical custody, and for me to pay him child support because I make more money. I actually had to ask Franca if she was joking. She wasn't. She said calmly, unfortunately, yes. But don't worry. We'll fight it. With everything we've documented, there's no way a judge grants this. It told me everything I needed to know about his mindset. He still thought he held power over me. That he could burn down everything and waltz away with half of my child's life and my paycheck on top of it. The delusion. Friday morning, 3 weeks since this nightmare began, I dropped Nora off at my parents' house, smoothed down my blazer, and met Franca at the courthouse. It was our first hearing, a temporary orders hearing to establish custody and support until the divorce is finalized. Maxwell was already there, sitting stiffly next to his lawyer. He looked miserable but tried to make eye contact with me. I didn't look back. His mother sat in the back row glaring at me like she was auditioning for the role of evil mother-in-law in a bad soap opera. The judge came in, reviewed both motions, and immediately asked Maxwell's lawyer why his client believed he deserved 50-50 custody when he has no stable home, no steady income, a documented history of showing up uninvited at our daughter's school, and multiple harassment incidents. Maxwell's lawyer launched into some speech about a devoted father being kept from his child by a vindictive spouse. Franca stood calm, precise. She presented the video, the one from his birthday night, of Maxwell bragging about using me and my dad's money, calling me a live-in house manager, and laughing about cheating. The judge actually watched the video in court. The sound echoed through the room. Maxwell's face turned deep red as his own voice betrayed him in front of everyone. The judge turned to Maxwell. "Would your client like to explain this?" Maxwell stumbled to his feet and muttered about it being taken out of context and that he was drunk and exaggerating. The judge's voice went ice cold. "Drunk or not, those are serious statements that call into question your judgment and character." Franca then presented evidence of Maxwell's harassment, showing up at my job with his mother, the school incident, the multiple numbers after being blocked. I could see the judge's patience thinning with every piece. And then came the ruling. White heavy checkmark. I was granted primary physical custody of Nora. White heavy checkmark. Maxwell was granted supervised visitation every other Saturday for 4 hours at a court-appointed visitation center. White heavy checkmark. He must complete a co-parenting class before the court will even consider changing those conditions. White heavy checkmark. He owes child support based on his earning potential, not his current unemployment. White heavy checkmark. And he is ordered to stay away from my home and workplace, with contempt charges if he violates it. Maxwell looked like he'd been slapped across the face. His lawyer tried to object. The judge cut him off with a curt, "These are temporary orders. If your client demonstrates stability and appropriate behavior, we'll revisit in 3 months." Afterward, Maxwell tried to approach me in the parking lot. I pulled out my phone, started recording, and said loudly, "You're violating the judge's order from 5 minutes ago by approaching me right now." He backed off so fast he nearly tripped. I called my dad as soon as I got in the car. He started crying, happy tears. He told me he was proud of me. That he's sorry Maxwell turned out to be such a failure of a man, but he's glad I'm protecting myself and Nora. That afternoon, I picked Nora up and took her to the park. Just the two of us. She ran across the grass in her pink sneakers, her hair flying behind her as she laughed on the swings. And for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. This is not going to be easy. Single parenting while working full-time, dealing with supervised visits, eventually having to co-parent if he ever gets his act together. But it will be ours. No more manipulation. No more humiliation. No more walking on eggshells to keep a grown man content. I'm done being the woman who carries everything and expects nothing. I'm done being manageable. I'm done accepting crumbs and calling it love. To everyone who told me I deserve better, thank you. You were right. To those who warned he'd try to worm his way back in, you were right too. But I was ready. And to the person who said, the trash took itself out? Accurate. So painfully, beautifully accurate. I'm 32 years old. I've got a 4-year-old daughter. A divorce in motion. And for the first time in years, I feel powerful. I chose myself. I chose my daughter. I chose self-respect. And that chocolate cake I made for his birthday? Yeah. I ate the whole damn thing. One forkful at a time. And it tasted like freedom.